Chronic shame can be used as a tool for control within relationships where the other is completely cut off from their own sense of shame. That happens in relationships where a power dynamic is the only thing that is keeping that dynamic intact. Meaning, if that power dynamic and the need for control would be addressed, then the shame would erupt and would become visible. And because some people don't want to come into contact with their shame because that would be debilitating and that would destroy their sense of self that they have built up to that point. Avoiding shame and projecting it onto others and disowning it completely becomes a sort of a survival mechanism that creates a power imbalance and a need for control within relationships. And chronic shame is an accumulation of years of conditioning that says that we ourselves need to carry the shame that has been basically present within the dynamic of that relationship. And because that shame is constantly on our shoulders, we start to identify with it. And that means that the other conveniently doesn't have to deal with their own shame. And what we can do in that sort of a relationship is to firstly acknowledge that the shame is there and that shame is only an emotion and does not really inform our identity. The next step would be to look for the context of that shame. Is that shame really solely ours, or is that shame shared, or perhaps we are carrying the shame of the other because they don't want to look at themselves? And the next step would be that we start separating from that shame, meaning that we still acknowledge the feeling, but we separate from identifying with it. And with that, we acknowledge our human vulnerabilities and the shame that comes with them, and acknowledge that the vulnerabilities and shame, that's something that we all share. And if we are in relationships with people who deny their own vulnerabilities, that speaks more about their own inability to see themselves fully and clearly than about us and who we are as a human being.